The idea is that this is what I'm feeling. Is it important enough? Does it deserve to get made? Is it a conversation that needs to be had? And if it does, and if the answer is yes, then you go ahead and find ways to make it, whatever it takes. I felt that we just don't talk about our sexual lives. And so with Agra, I was really trying to go there. We live the most intimately with our family members. We learn how to negotiate our lives through the closest people, and they just happen to be family.
Kanu, it is so lovely to be sitting on this beach in Cannes with you. The sun is out after many gloomy days. There is loud music, which we will just talk over.
Sure.
Many congratulations. We met the first time here in 2014 with Titli, and now you are back with Agra, which is amazing. I know 2 films is probably not enough to deduce and have theses about signatures, but there's a few themes that I want to talk to you about, right? I think of you, Kanu, as like someone who's investigating into the lives of deeply damaged working class men. Why is this a theme that kind of is recurring in the 2 films that you made?
So actually I've been asked this a fair bit, and for me, both the films are completely different beasts of their own, and they're designed as very distinct pieces, whereas Titli was much more about family, circularity, and images passing on from one person to the other, unknowingly or knowingly within a family, that sort of violence. So Titli was more my piece on family, and with Agra, when after Titli, I started working, I was thinking, what is it that I want to talk about next? What is it that I'm really feeling about, talking? And I felt that we just don't talk about our sexual lives. And so with Agra, I was really trying to go there into sexual repression, sexuality, and the idea of physical spaces, and how both affect each other, how our sexual lives get molded by the physical spaces that we live in, and how in turn the physical spaces start affecting our sexual lives. And the setting of the family, it just so happens that most films are about personal relationships. So wo family ke andar reh ke the microcosm ends up as being a very good representation of the larger macrocosm. So it just so happens that both films are set in a house, in a family, and of course the moment you try to create broader ripples with your film, and you're trying to set what you're trying to talk about in the larger socio-political cultural context, then you can't move away from patriarchy, because we live in a society that is so steeped from patriarchy. So I think जो उसके surrounding elements हैं, जो ambient elements हैं, they can seem similar and might seem similar, but at the heart of it, I think both pieces are totally about different things.
Absolutely. But Kanu, in this one too, you are looking at the damage inflicted by families. If you take these 2 films, it can be sort of the antidote to every Suraj Barjatya Karan Johar film ever made, right? Just in terms of what it's saying about family. Do you see family as the source of sustenance, but also scarring?
Absolutely. I mean, we live the most intimately with our family members. We learn how to negotiate our lives through the closest people, and they just happen to be family. But again, मुझे ये लगता है curiously, Agra में the family is even not really a family. They live in the same house, but they are individual units. They are all they're all fighting for their individual lustful little space. So I don't even feel or never felt, even while we were shooting the film, that these guys are a family. वो feeling था ही नहीं. So I think they are such a strange family that they are not even a family. They are just looking out only for themselves, And so yeah, this melds in the sense that हम negotiate करना वहाँ से सीखते हैं. But ये family है ही नहीं actually family, मुझे ये लगता है.
The third thing, Kanu, that I think I see in both films is this sort of comment on consumerism, on urbanization. You know, your characters are at the periphery and they can see the gleam, they can see the shiny promise of New India. But that proximity only makes their own existence more hellish. Why is this a recurring note?
So again, I mean, these sort of contexts are very easy to peg down now, because also it's a debate, it's a thought process that has been actively engaged with by many people around us. So I think it's easy to peg it on that, but what I was really trying to do was try to tell the story of this boy who is considered mentally damaged or is branded mentally damaged by all these people that surround him. But really, he is the only one who's trying to have an honest conversation about things that are going on in his house. आप एक मिस्ट्रेस के साथ ऊपर रहते हो छत पे, मैं अपनी माँ के साथ सेम कमरे में सोता हूँ नीचे, and no one speaks about this. Why don't you get rid of either the mother or the mistress? And to the mother, he's probably asking, why are you still here? To the mistress, he's saying, why don't you kick her out? So these sexual storms are a part of the house, but no one is talking about it. And this boy is the only one, he doesn't have the vocabulary for it. He doesn't know how to say it. He's saying it in all the wrong and sometimes even the most dastardly ways. But he's the only one who's fighting for the truth and saying, at least talk about it. And then, it's almost like a reverse coming of age where he gives in and he says, okay, ठीक है, नहीं किसी को बात करनी है और यहीं रहना है और आपका सपना यही है कि रिश्ते ट्रांजैक्शनल होने चाहिए, and if everything is invested in a transaction and that transaction is space and you just want a house, then let me show you how to do it. Because then it is going to be an amputation. You can't live in the old world that we lived in a few years back, where you could run multiple women or you could have your charm and your whatever and hope to achieve your dreams through that. No, the world that we live in today, where the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. If you want a 5-story house today, then there's an amputation right at the knee. नीचे के 2 floor जाएंगे ही जाएंगे. So he's coming at it with that sort of maturity or growing up by the end, So I really, why I sort of come back to this is because I was wanting to begin with that really human impulse of personal desire and somehow to be able to connect it to this, this everything just in the cities and now the small towns that we live in, everything just climbing higher and higher, almost like a phallic presence. And that phallic presence, to me, is very disturbing and has disturbed me for a really long while. So I somehow wanted to be able to understand this desire and that desire and combine two, and not just have either the external gaze or the internal gaze only. I wanted it to, become one. And I think that's where Agra is probably trying to operate out of.
Tell me about the casting, to have Mohit Agarwal, who's playing Guru, who's so fabulous, Priyanka Bose, and then Rahul Roy. How did you even think of that?
Rahul, he pretty much chose himself for the part. I think when we met Rahul, because also for the character, his character is called Daddy, and for Daddy's character, जब मैं लिख रहा था, and while even when we started casting, I knew it needed a charmer, it needed someone who had a debonair quality, but it also needed someone who had the feeling of decay, who the moment you met him, because the character's graph is one of, you meeting the patriarch just at the cusp of decay. So I knew that I needed that feeling within the character and both together. And I think Rahul, in his own life and in his own journey in the film industry over all these years, has seen some of that and has felt some of that. So I think the moment he read the script, he immediately connected to a lot of things. And the moment we spoke and we started working, there was an immediate connection, and we sensed that already बहुत कुछ है character का राहुल में. And after that, it was just his sheer, dedication to the part, because I am not kidding you, from day one of the workshop, it was a 3-month-long workshop, to the last day of the workshop, he used to be the first one on set and he used to be the last one to leave every day.
Really?
The kids would leave, and after that Rahul would leave at 10 in the night.
Wow.
And after week 1 of the workshop, I remember him coming to me and saying, ये ना मैं ही कर रहा हूँ, ये और कोई नहीं करेगा, ये कैरेक्टर मैं ही करूँगा. So the moment someone is coming at you with this amount of dedication and this amount of investment in the part, it really is, you know, the choice is taken out of your hands. So yeah, so that was Rahul, and Priyanka was, I think I wrote the part for her. While I was writing, I instinctively felt that Priyanka would be a very strong contender for the part. And again, the moment we sat down, we spoke about the film, and we discussed the fact that it's a film that's looking at sexuality, but the idea is not to titillate, and the idea is to explore these secret lives that we have. This almost this you know. This phobia that we have, that we don't want to share our secret selves with anyone, and not even people in our private lives, forget our public persona. So ये exploration की जब मैंने और प्रियंका ने बात करनी शुरू करी, I think she was damn excited. Also the fact that it was a part for her which was trying to take a look at her in a way that no one really had explored that side of her. You know, be it the physicality of Preeti and many other things, the walk, other stuff associated with it. I think, again, you know, it was just a meeting of hearts and minds, and yeah, so that's how Priyanka happened. And Mohit, actually, pretty much we found him in the second week of our casting.
Wow.
But like all teams are greedy, all filmmakers are greedy. मैं ढूंढता रहा, हमने 4-5 महीने ढूंढा, but eventually we had 3 strong contenders for Guru, and all 3 were equally good, and we were workshopping with all 3. But I felt, and I had always felt, that since Guru is such a difficult part and he's going to do such dastardly things, there needed to be certain qualities about him physically which were really important. Someone who doesn't have an imposing presence, someone, more importantly, who has an innocence to be able to, for an audience to want to go on this journey with him. So I think that played a really important part. Now, obviously, coupled with Mohit's amazing ability to put himself
He's
in
very
Guru's
good
shoes.
actor. He's very fine actor.
Yeah.
Kanu, do you think that with the coming of the streaming platforms, there is more space for a filmmaker like you who is dealing with darker material, with more complex material, who's talking about things that most filmmakers don't want to speak about, at least in the mainstream space? Do you find that there's more room? Because it's been, what, 9 years between the 2 movies?
Yeah, I think this question I can only answer the day I end up working with a streamer or any of the major streaming platforms. I think the answer is pretty evident here. So there is no space, I think. There's space only for a certain kind of content. I don't think there's much more space than that.
So how does a filmmaker like you know, keep going? What do you tell yourself? How do you just sort of say, it's okay, this is what I do, and I'm going to tell uncompromising stories?
I think probably the only way to keep going for any sort of serious filmmaker is to, I mean, if you're going to attempt anything of any consequence where you're trying to have a conversation, genuine conversation with your audience, and not preach them a sermon and say, अब देखो मैंने ये बनाया, मैं filmmaker हूँ, मैं दिखाऊंगा ये. I think the moment you're trying to have a conversation, you start at a point, even when you're writing, where you cannot afford to be bothered about इसके साथ क्या होगा या ये कहाँ जाएगा. So I think the journey stops there. As far as that is concerned, I don't think I'm thinking about it from day one. The idea is that this is what I'm feeling. Is it important enough? Does it deserve to get made? Is it a conversation that needs to be had? And if it does, and if the answer is yes, then you go ahead and find ways to make it, and whatever it takes.
Yeah, it is whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Tell me, is the Cannes experience very different from the first time?
No, pretty similar. Pretty similar.
It's the same joyous circus of cinema.
Yeah, no, it's lovely because
lovely, yeah.
you get to see so much beautiful cinema.
Yeah.
You know, so many good films, and you meet so many like-minded people, and there's a lot of joy in it. It's inspiring.
It is,
Yeah.
absolutely.
It absolutely inspires you and puts you back into gear, and you feel like, okay, let's go again. What are we going to do next?
How lovely. Last, tell me, what do you see for Agra? It is difficult material. You know, how do you want to get it to audiences?
I think at this point we are just trying to do the festival route and gather as much equity as we can for the film, because film में कोई conventional ऐसे कोई आप जो बोलोगे stars नहीं है या अपना traditionally commercial heft जो माना जाता है वो नहीं है. So the idea is to make the film as big as it can be by doing the festival route, and then I think post Cannes we are going to sit and assess where we are at and find a route through that journey.
Thank you so much, Kanu, and good luck.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful screening and keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You've been watching FC at Cannes 2023 in association with travel partner Air France, smartphone partner Google Pixel, beauty partner L'Oréal Paris, media partner NDTV, and travel trend partner Skybags.